And so knowing that meditation is about training the mind, changing your way you experience the outer circumstances of the world and your inner world of emotions and so forth. Now, then what will be the subject of training? It will be to transform the way we experience things, not to be the slave of our constant chain of thoughts, rumination, hopes and fears, endless. When people sit for the first time to meditate, sometimes they say, oh, I have so much thought. Then when I don't meditate, basically they just become aware of the extent of the catastrophe. We have thoughts spinning from morning till evening non-stop, and we have very little. We just follow after them and swayed by them endlessly without the slightest control. Now, when we bring this idea of controlling the mind, people say, oh, no, it's like putting the mind in shackles. I don't want that. I want to be free. But what does freedom mean? To do anything that comes through your mind? That doesn't look like freedom to me. It seems more to be the slave of every thought. Now, to give an image that might help. Suppose you are a sailor at sea and you want to go somewhere. So if freedom is to do anything that comes spontaneously, then freedom would mean let the boat drift wherever the wind and the current blows. That's freedom, isn't it? And actually, the words, the Eastern word like bhavana in Sanskrit or gom in Tibetan, that are usually translated as meditation, really do mean to become familiar with something, familiar with a new way of being, familiar with a new skill like loving kindness, familiar with the basic understanding of how the mind works, and to cultivate those qualities. So there's a process. So if the basis has to have at least a flexible tool, there are basic techniques to achieve that, based on attention, increasing your mindfulness of moment to moment. And so there's many ways in the Buddhist realm. There are other traditions also teaching mindfulness and vigilance and being in the present moment. So both from the experiential side, to do that regularly will bring a true lasting change after a while. And from the neuroscience, today we are not going to go too much on that side, but the notion of brain plasticity, neuroplasticity, is that when you are exposed regularly for a certain time to novelty, something new that you are not doing before or not experiencing before, that's what is going to bring lasting change in the brain function. And after a month, you can always see a difference. You can see difference in the brain, you can see difference in the level of stress, you can see difference in your immune system. So today I'm not going to speak about that, but both the brain function and even the health and the immune system will be changed. But that requires perseverance. Now, how can we then use that skill to improve the quality of every moment that we live? So let's take examples of what often undermine this experience of well-being or happiness or flourishing. Usually it's the destructive emotions. You are swayed by anger or nagged by jealousy, or anxiety is filling up your mind. So you feel you are quite powerless about those states of mind. You would rather do without it. So now, but when they come, we're sort of powerlessly, taken by that. It fills our mind. We are one with jealousy or one with anxiety. So how can we proceed? How the meditative experience can help us to deal better with that? So that's where the notion of awareness and mindfulness comes into the picture. Even you are taken by quite some preoccupation which makes you anxious, the mind always has the faculty to be aware of it, to watch that. This is an innate faculty of the mind. No matter what, if you just step a little bit and look, you can look at with the eye of the mind, of course, you can look at your experience as someone will watch a fire that burns. If you think of that, what is aware of anger is not angry, it's aware. What is aware of anxiety is not anxious, it's aware. So it is not actually tainted by anxiety or anger. So now instead of being anger all over the place, you have anger and a space of mindfulness. And if you persevere doing so, what naturally happens, that's a matter of experience, is the more you maintain that awareness of, the off or the anger or the anxiety has a tendency to melt down. It's just like if you stop adding wood to a fire, it will burn, but not for very long. So naturally, it will vanish away. But now you have dealt in an intelligent way. The emotion came up, just watch it with mindfulness, it vanished away. You dealt successfully with that episode, and by doing so repeatedly, you build up a capacity so that you are less vulnerable to that. That means it will take more for you to be submerged by anxiety. So it will eventually come less often, less strong, and you can imagine a time where simply like things like hatred are just no more part of your mental landscape. And that's the result of a process of familiarization. So that is a true sign of transformation, not some mystical, sudden meditative experiences that might be like nice fireworks, but doesn't result into deep change. So this baseline of your understanding of happiness and suffering, of your way you react to emotions, that will be changed by time. So it seems it's worth. So that's in a nutshell what meditation can be, and it's just to in a way demystify it without making a sort of meditation light version, but seeing that is something that really is concerned, because we all have a mind. And we will have to deal with that spoiled brat of the mind. And the result is really a state of a baseline of relative happiness or constant misery. So it's at the heart of the quality of our experience.